Hi there, and welcome to another KLMWine.com tasting vlog. Today we're going to be trying La Rioja Alta Vina Ardanza Rioja Reserva 2010 Selection Especial. 2010 is 10 years old at the minute. La Rioja Alta is a really top property within the Riojan region, highly regarded, and their wines can achieve some quite big money really for the region. The Grand Reserva 904 and 80 something or other, I can't remember what it's called, but they are quite expensive wines. Like Ardanza is not cheap, it's around 30 quid a bottle or so, I suppose. So it's a top of the tier Reserva Rioja, I would say. But the quality shines through on it and lives up to those price points. So this here particular wine, now within the Rioja structure, you get sort of Joven, which is young, Crianza, Reserva, and Grand Reserva typically. So it's all about how old these wines are before they release. And in a Crianza, for example, it must spend 6 months in oak and a year in bottle prior to release. A Reserva, it must spend a year in oak and 2 years in bottle prior to release. And a Grand Reserva, it must spend 2 years in oak and 3 years in bottle prior to release. Now, bearing that in mind, the Vina Ardanza spends 80% of it spends Tempranillo spends 36 months in Rioja, so goes beyond in oak, goes above and beyond Grand Reserve standards, and the Grenache element 20% spends 30 months in oak barrels, which again is above and beyond Grand Reserve level. So you're getting a lot of wine in this particular bottle, I suppose, and this is where Rioja is a super value provider when you compare it to, say, Bordeaux's, for example. If you're thinking about the sort of calibre of the wine that you're going to drink here, and you put it into Bordeaux terms, triple the price quite easily. Like in Robert Parker's website, 95 points this wine has. How many Bordeaux's at 30 quid a bottle would you get with 95 Parker points? They just don't exist. You know, they're £100 plus a bottle. So there's the smart money is in these sorts of wines for just complexity, enjoyment, ageability. While this is 10 years old, it still has a long life ahead of it as well. Because for Vina Ardanza is made in the very best vintages from La Rioja's vineyards. They have another reserve level called Vina Arana, and they are made maybe in slightly lesser vintages. Now, having tasted it and the Ardanza side by side very recently, the Arana right now, which was 2011 vintage, this is 2010. The Vina Arana right now is probably the more enjoyable glass of wine because it's just this creamy yogurty oak, which just really coats your palate and gives you this lovely feeling. The Ardanza is a beautiful wine now, but it will age and age really well, and also stand up to food like protein rich food like steaks and things like that there right now as well. So they're bottled to drink on release, where say Bordeaux, for example, are bottled and then you have to age them yourself, I suppose, to get the benefits. So 10 years old Rioja. So spend a lot of time in oak. These wines, that's a very classic trait of Rioja. So that's slow oxidative sort of method of vinification gives certain flavour profiles to the actual wine and elements. So one element that you will see straight away from like a Reserve Rioja is the colour. It's not really deeply coloured by any means, sort of medium to fuller bodied, medium bodied maybe. You get this nice garnet bricky sort of colour to it, which is very typical of that sort of aged Rioja style. So nose wise, red fruits first and foremost, but it's more the secondary flavours you get, which would be that sort of new leather sort of element, that bacon spice or sort of cinnamon nutmeg type thing going on, and you get this kind of like organic material, like that forest floor sort of element to it, soily sort of element to it, which again comes through the slow oxidative sort of aging process. adding all these layers of complexity, and that's what you want in good bottles of wine, is those layers of complexity. They keep you going back to the glass to smell it before you actually start to drink it, you know. Beautiful wine, beautiful nose. Nose, sort of the palate comes through like the colour does, that sort of medium weight. You get this lovely spiciness coming through from the oak, that vanilla sort of character, a spice vanilla sort of character. Those really quite fine tannins for, you know, even though there's quite a lot of them, there's a fine tannin to it which just isn't astringent or anything like that. Just lovely integration. Nice acidity coming through in the finish just to clean it all out. And a lovely length to it as well. A little bit of alcohol coming through on the finish, which is 13%, so it's okay. But not out of balance or anything with the actual fruit or the wine. It's a sort of, I say, sort of wine that will suit food probably more so than anything else, but very enjoyable by itself. You know, if you're having some cured meats or something, even just a snack type thing, this will be a lovely glass of wine with it. Those smoky flavours coming through in the back of the palate now too. La Rioja Alta, super producer. Vina Ardanza, one of their flagship wines, and if you like Rioja, you have to try them. You'll not be disappointed. 30 quid or thereabouts. Cracking value for money, and will age as well. You could easily buy this and stick it away for 10 years and enjoy it. 95 points, I say, in Robert Parker, so big pedigree. So there you go. La Rioja Alta Vina Ardanza 2010 Reserva Special. Yeah, super bottle of wine. kwmy.com. Please trace matters. Cheers.